Hello and welcome to our Hurdy Gurdy episode.
What is a Hurdy Gurdy, Sean?
Well, first I'm going to give a little bit of background on this. I don't know did we talk about this? Welcome to Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things. This is episode 81, by the way. Did I ever mention that I bought a Hurdy Gurdy on the air?
I think once. Maybe.
Well, I did, for those listening, and that was me just playing notes, because, believe it or not, it is kind of difficult to find someone to give you lessons on the Hurdy Gurdy in person.
Well, since probably 999 people out of 1,000 don't even know what a Hurdy Gurdy is, not surprising. However, you'd think in your neck of the woods, decent-sized community there's probably a Hurdy Gurdy player.
You know, you would imagine there probably is. And I'm hoping, I'm going to a couple Ren fairs this year, so maybe I'll come across somebody that is willing to meet me halfway somewhere and give me some lessons. But I did purchase a Hurdy Gurdy. Not very many companies in the US creating or making Hurdy Gurdies and selling them. But I was able to find a beginner Gurdy. It's called the Aplo, A-P-L-O. That is the model. It is a 5-string Hurdy Gurdy. It has 3 drone strings and then 2 melody strings that you can play. I bought it from a company, shout out Ancestor, kind of like Ancestor, but ancestor.eu. So if you look them up, you can, I think they also sell like bagpipes and things like that. It's a company. Polish? Yeah, it's a company out of Poland. Wait times vary. So if you're okay spending like $2,100 on or 2,100 euro on a Hurdy Gurdy, I think the wait list was only like 3 months when I bought mine. Times vary, and the wait list varies for different models as well.
And this is a handmade instrument. That's what.
Yeah. So okay. They're made to order. Yep. And the Aplo, because it's one of the beginner instruments, it's not the weight wasn't huge, and it's not. What's the word? It's not it's not the most intricate of models. So it's pretty basic.
We should probably explain to the audience what is a Hurdy Gurdy, because it's an interesting sound, and how does it work?
So it kind of, it has. I've heard people say it kind of sounds like a bagpipe, where it has that drone in the background, but it's easier to play because I'm not constantly breathing in and out. It is an acoustic instrument. Like I said, strings, and there's a wheel that you turn, and let me disengage the strings here quick so I don't have noises playing. So it has a wheel that you turn, and then the strings, depending on which strings that you press against the wheel, it plays those strings. So the 3 drone strings don't have keys, and those just constantly play as I turn the wheel. But the 2 melody strings, those are the 2 that I can play the keys on the side and actually get the different notes to play.
And so you're turning the crank the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, there's different styles. I've seen videos of people that you turn the crank and then you stop and go, and that's how you can play specific notes and get it to play different sounds. I mean, I've only had it for a few months. I'm not proficient, so I just kind of make noises and don't really play specific songs at the moment, but I find myself, it's a very fun instrument to just sit around and play. So for the most part, I come home from work, I'll sit down and I'll play the Gurdy for a couple, like 30 minutes, and just like sit around and play notes and enjoy myself. It is a medieval instrument. So I think various cultures, if you look in Europe, there's people in France that play the Hurdy Gurdy, Lithuania, Poland, where I got mine. There's stories of it being in England. So, I mean, across the board, it's a European medieval instrument.
Well, the sound is very evocative. I am assuming that the Witcher show on Netflix used a Hurdy Gurdy in its soundtrack, because when you first told me about this, and I think sent some samples. That's instantly what I thought of was those kind of that style.
Yeah.
It's very fitting for a medieval instrument. It definitely sounds fitting in The Witcher or at you mentioned Renaissance fairs. I'm sure there are people out there, medieval enthusiasts, who keep the art form alive.
Oh yeah. I know there's definitely a guy at the Washington Midsummer Renaissance Fair that, what do you call it? Busking?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Is that he sits in the, or stands in the walkways and will play his hurdy-gurdy. So I know there's at least one guy at the Washington Ren Fair. Next Sunday, when I'm at the Oregon Fair, I'll see if there's anybody down there. Yeah, so last week we lied to everybody. I got the date wrong for House of the Dragon Season 2. So this is kind of an emergency episode where we needed a week filler. And yeah, I didn't know if I had talked about my hurdy-gurdy at all, but this was a good opportunity to...
Even if I think you may have mentioned it, but we did not have a performance before. And, this is a wet, in case of emergency, bring your hurdy-gurdy to the recording.
Break out the hurdy-gurdy. Yeah. But it was an investment. So this is not like you want to get an instrument, let's just try to take up hurdy-gurdy. No, this is like a couple $1,000s to get a beginner. So this is, there were gurdies that were for sale that were like $6,000, $7,000 for like a really nice advanced instrument.
Well, I'll say too, I mean, this is not going to be a video episode, but it looks really nice. Wood, and it's got a nice lacquer to it. I'm assuming I think earlier you said it was handmade. So this is a good piece of engineering.
Yes, it's well made. And that's one of the things, I did a lot of research leading up to it on which instrument I wanted to buy, or which model and which company. What I found was, if you are interested in purchasing a hurdy-gurdy, make sure you figure out a company that is going to give you a good product. A lot of the research that I had done on a couple, I'm not going to name companies outside of the one that I actually purchased.
The anti-endorsement.
Yeah. So I will endorse Ancestor, and everything they send you an unboxing kit, basically, like how to set up the instrument for the first time and all of that. So they set you up pretty well. And they do offer remote lessons if you want to invest in those. I haven't decided if I want to pay for their online lessons that they recommend, but we'll cross that bridge when I get there. But there are companies, and a lot of what I had read was, if they're not recommended, it's because the product isn't consistent enough where you're getting a good product every time, which, if you're going to spend $2,000 on an instrument, you want to make sure that you're getting something that's
and that quality. Makes sense. That makes sense, right? There's probably not as enough demand to keep people really practiced in making these. So it's going to be concentrated. The skill to do it is going to be concentrated among a relatively small group of people, but then there might be others who can like make it from a blueprint if they need to however often they get an order.
Yeah. And it's, for the most part, look to Europe if you want to buy. And the problem with that too is shipping costs. Like the instrument was 2,100 euro or something like that. And then shipping alone was like 300 euro to ship it from Poland.
Compare this to the time that I purchased a nerdy thing from Europe. It was a hat, which is made of straw. And so the shipping cost was basically nothing since it's light as air. This is on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, this was, I think they shipped it through UPS, which was okay. Because then I was really nervous about having it delivered to my house.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And having it just sitting on the porch. And I was like, that's a really expensive thing. But I scheduled it to pick it up in one of the UPS locations.
Smart. Yeah. That would be the ultimate porch pirate story.
Oh yeah. And like, someone to be like, they steal a package. Like, what the fuck do I do with this thing?
Well, then you'd be like, okay, there's only one way to offload this. I got to take it to the Ren Fair. And then you see your hurdy-gurdy thief at the Ren Fair.
And then they don't know how much it's actually worth and all of that. But
there you go. Oh, it's a question for you.
Yeah.
It is a hand crank for the strings. You get the drone strings going in the back, and you have the two melody strings, and you play with keys. Did the strings come already installed and kind of in tune, or did you have to tune it?
It's not tuned.
Okay.
Everything's attached. So the wheel itself, I mean, you tune it like a normal instrument. There's a crank at the head of the instrument, and that's how you change the tuning of the strings. But the wheel itself, you put rosin on the wheel, and then the strings, I'll show you, Sam, they have cotton on them right there. So the cotton is what vibrates on the wheel, and that's what gives you your note.
Okay.
And that is a trick in and of itself. And I think my lowest drone string, I think I need to change the cotton on it. And it's difficult. It's not very intuitive. So I've already had to change the cotton on 2 other strings, and I feel like I'm getting it down now, but it took me a while to get it right.
Yeah.
And you can really tell it if the cotton's wrong, if the rosin isn't right, then you hear like squeaky noises. Sometimes you don't get the vibration of the string. So then sometimes you don't really hear anything. So it's got some maintenance to it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you watch a video where they explain how to do something, it's a lot different than having someone show you how to do it. So like changing the cotton, they gave me a little pouch of cotton for me to use, but then I found someone who works for the company posts videos, and she said she uses tampon cotton.
Okay.
Yeah. So I used tampon cotton, and then it was way easier. And I actually there's a tampon in my case that I have in case I need more. Yeah. It's really interesting. And I feel really cool about myself that I'm probably one of the 15 people in Washington State that owns Hurdy Gurdy.
So when did they originate? Because there's a little bit of mechanical components to it, and it's not. I can't imagine it's an ancient instrument. Are we talking Renaissance? Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I can Google it. I don't know it off the top of my head. Okay. Yeah, but I mean, it's medieval, a couple hundred years old is what I'm imagining. European.
So how did you find yourself in the position to purchase one? Did you do research on, you just wanted to learn an ancient instrument or a medieval instrument, and this is what you found? Or
so I had known that. I mean, I play the saxophone. I know how to play the saxophone.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was my instrument in high school, in middle school. I was in concert band, jazz band, played alto sax and bari sax. So for me, it was, I just wanted another instrument that I could pick up and attempt to learn. This seemed really nerdy and really niche. And I thought...
You can say that again.
Yeah. And I would be interested in, like, my goal is one day get good enough to where I can go to Ren fairs and play. Not like center stage.
Yeah, you're not going to be selling out the Seattle arena or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not going to be at Lumen Field holding medieval concerts, but...
Halftime at the Seahawks game.
Yeah, Sean on the Hurdy Gurdy. But if I could, like, do what this guy does at the Washington Ren Fair and...
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Just be part of the ambiance for people. I think that would be fun. I could even start like busking at the park, something like that. Maybe I can make some money to pay off this instrument. I was looking at that, and then I have enjoyed hurdy-gurdy music before from various different, I mean, you mentioned like The Witcher and things like that. So I knew I enjoyed it. It seemed niche. And if I'm going to spend a couple $1,000s on an instrument, why not the hurdy-gurdy?
And how does your wife feel about the hurdy-gurdy?
She feels pretty good about it. She is actually learning the banjo right now. So you
guys.
Yeah, we talked about she wants to like start a little band where she plays banjo and I play hurdy-gurdy. So I need to get better and actually know like notes and things like that before I can.
Now, can you read sheet music?
For saxophone, yeah.
Okay.
I can't for this. I mean,
okay,
legit. The only training I have with this is me just fucking around with it and
you're gonna have to
playing it.
You're gonna have to learn Polish so that you can figure out how to learn how to play this classically or whatever.
They all speak English, so everything. It's like it's not like I'm going on this website and just Google translating Polish to figure out what instrument I want to buy. Everything's in English. Yeah, so that part wasn't difficult. And yeah, I don't know. That's really my story. Carly and I decided this spring that we had some disposable income, and we were like, well, let's treat ourselves. We don't have kids, so it's not like we have huge expenses. Mm-hmm. So I took money and I bought this, and then Carly spent a good amount of money on something she wanted to. So
yeah,
I remember how we justified it.
You and Carly were telling Haley and I about this, and Haley and I were looking at each other and like, that's however many days of childcare. Yeah. Like that's our new math is everything is divided into how many days of daycare will that cover.
Yeah. And I talk to students that I advise, and I'm like, yeah, you just get a job. You'll have disposable income to do all the fun things that you want to do. Just don't have kids.
Hey, yeah. Graduate high school, get a job, don't have kids. If you can do those things, you'll be all right. And they can be knee deep in hurdy gurdies.
So for listeners, I opened with me playing some notes. I recorded something. I don't know how good it's going to sound. So I'll play us out with a recording of mine too. So hopefully it comes across pretty good.
Yeah, play us out. So this has been a short hurdy gurdy centric episode. Elves, rings, and nerdy things. We're open to all sorts of nerdy things. If this does not count as a nerdy thing, nothing does. But it's always fun to kind of get a glimpse at the various ways that nerdy interests manifest themselves. And if you find yourself in the Seattle area or the Oregon Ren Fair, keep an eye out for Sean with his hurdy gurdy, walking around looking for lessons and maybe playing some notes for everybody. It'll be follow the sound of the droning chords, and they'll be there.
If you hear the sounds of cats screaming, that is probably me. And I will post pictures of the instrument on Facebook. So if you're interested in seeing what my hurdy-gurdy looks like, I have named her Ludwika. So if you want to see Ludwika pictures of her, she will be on Facebook. And this has been Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things emergency hurdy-gurdy episode. You can follow us on Facebook, Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things. You can follow our Facebook group, Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things podcast. And you can
House
send
of the
us
Dragon,
email.
Season 2, next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.